Buddy, welcome to the Meta Cafe for your daily astrology, human design, and Gene Keys energy report. Grab your cup of coffee and or tea or water or whatever it is that you're drinking this morning and sit back and let's talk about and pick up from where we left off yesterday. Sorry, had to turn my phone off. Yesterday, we began a conversation about the gates of the spleen that the planet Venus is passing through. Good morning, Suzanne. And we were taking a look at the shadow of the gate 18, which is where where Venus is sitting right now. And actually, I think tomorrow it is the 17th when she changes out of that gate. So we have tomorrow to finish this up, which is a good thing because there's so much I want to tell you. And I have just this little bit of time each day. Good morning, Mimi. So we began this process yesterday. We're going to be taking a look through the next several weeks at the gates of the spleen in high detail and looking at what the fear is that is evoked from those areas, what the gift is that Venus is bringing us, and the highest expression, or the siddhi, which is a Sanskrit word, and that just means the highest potential of. And we'll be looking at that in detail. Along with that, I have the daily stuff to get through as well. So let's look first at the day, and then we can take a look at some of the other things that we want to get to today. Good morning, Cindy. I hope everybody's having a great day. It's kind of nice here because the smoke is finally filtering out of the air, although the sun still looked mighty orange this morning to me. The winds have shifted, and that hopefully means it'll scour out the area and get rid of all of the smoke that's just been hanging around. Good morning, Suzanne. I've been looking forward to this one. This one is going to be interesting. I hope nobody gets triggered by this, but if you do, there's a reason, right? There's a reason. So let's start out. Here we are. We are in the moon today is in the sign of Scorpio. A great day for us to take a deep dive into the darker side of ourselves and then coming out into the light, right? It's a little bit of a tricky day though, because beginning the day, the moon was in a square to Mars, is still very close. It'll pass by quickly enough. You may feel a little restless, angry, or in some way impatient this morning. I know I was because, I think I told you guys, like yesterday, my internet went out halfway through the broadcast. My printer decided it wasn't going to work. Well, what they don't tell you before your equipment starts to throw a tantrum at you is that they're gone through some kind of update. So I get this message this morning telling me your printer is needing an update. So I go through the whole process of getting to the update, eating up the time that I have to prepare for this morning, by the way. And at the end, it tells me, oh, it's already updated. I was like, oh God, you are kidding me. So I just went through, 20 minutes of my time doing that. So impatience, yes, this morning. And a little restless, yes, because none of that ever goes very quick. And then to get to the end and find out it's already there. Oh, anyway, I breathed and I just went about getting ready. What else could I do, right? So there may be a little bit of that quality this morning, and it will soon pass, giving way to another interesting one with Moon in opposition to Uranus. We've been seeing this, at least once a month, where the Moon is coming into opposition to Uranus, and it gives us an opportunity to reevaluate ourselves, to revolutionize our lives, to maybe even get some revelations or ahas or some, momentary epiphanies that help us see the rightness of what is happening in our lives and the pathway forward. But sometimes it's also surprises that we don't expect, things that we don't see coming that, take us out of the normal role of the day. And that can be disturbing. Some people do not like their life to be challenged that way. But today may be one of those days where your life is challenged by surprises or unexpected things. Those things could be really good things, and they can also be very disturbing things. again, the moon moves quickly and will move away from that spot. In fact, already it's waning because the moon is already at 3 degrees of Scorpio, Uranus at 2 degrees. So my aha moment this morning, or my unexpected thing, could have been the process of having to deal with my printer. And I suspect now I'm going to have to deal with my router. So let's hope I don't have to do that before the day is over. I can do it tomorrow because I have a very busy day today. Good morning, sunshine, Cheryl Yamamoto. It's good to see you out there this morning. And good morning to you. The moon is also sextiling Saturn today. Now, besides the fact that the moon and Saturn can often create a low frequency feeling within us, whether it's sadness or depression or melancholy or whatever you want to call it, tired, fatigue, all those kinds of things also come up with the connection to Saturn. You may also note that Saturn is a taskmaster kind of planet. He can actually point us in the direction of where things are out of alignment, or where things need to be brought into, some kind of form, where it's too nebulous out there. So with the moon, it may be that your emotions are all over the place and you're being tasked to pull it in and not be so out there. Good morning, Tina. It's good to see you. And so again, a momentary blip on the screen, it moves through fairly quickly. I often like to use that energy as a moment in time of ability to get clear on something, or to clear away my desk, or clean out a cupboard, or, get a task done that I've been, not wanting to do. Like yesterday, I spent a good chunk of the day doing things, writing things that I had been avoiding. But I felt so good at the end of the day yesterday. I was just done by about 6 o'clock, 6:30, something like that. I was just done. And I know I don't usually work that long into the evening, but I was on this roll and I didn't want to stop. So Saturn sometimes can give us that ability to endure and persevere through something, a project, to be able to get to the end of it. The problem that most of us has is we don't understand where the cutoff point is. So understand the cutoff point is when the moon moves on and you no longer have the energy or the frequency to be able to keep moving on through that task. The moon is also squaring Mercury today. That means mind and emotions are maybe a little out of sync with one another, or challenging to one another. And Mercury is still retrograde until Saturday. So it may be, a trigger from the past, something coming back up from the past, a person coming back to you from the past, or a trigger from the past. And we're going to talk a bit about that today as it relates to integrity. And if that's the case, don't let your mind take you into an emotional funk, and don't let your emotions get your mind revved up into an emotional funk. Just don't do it, right? Using your own energy to say, I noticed this feeling. I've had this in the past and it's related to XYZ. And I'm just going to release that, or I'm going to embrace it and just love it into being an experience as a part of me. And I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to let it take me down, and I'm not going to let it color my relationships today. Remember, Venus is in Libra, so there's focus on our relationships. And some of the, the relationships in our lives are forming the backdrop where these energies are playing out. Relationships, because your relationships are the mirrors for you to see yourself more clearly. All right. So let me just throw it out there. If you have any questions about what we talked about yesterday, remember we were talking about the shadow in the gate 18, which is the shadow of judgment and criticism. And that plays a role in our judging others. And remember, I started the day with my judgment about the people who wanted to have the dog put down. And I realized laughingly what I was doing, right? That I got sucked into that. And that's how easy it is for us to, one, get sucked in, and two, to release, right? I was able to come to a space where, good morning, Jessica. Good morning, Asmaya. Asmaya, you're in Australia. It's got to be late at night there for you, but welcome. So I allowed myself to get sucked into the drama and to the energy of judging these people. And then I could laugh my way out of it, because you know what? I'm still human too. And I get to play that role of human and healing human, right? So we are all playing the game of healing human. And yeah, so that's where we set the start yesterday, was in this energy of criticism and judgment. And it can be a process that is very negative in our relationships when we are judging ourselves or others harshly. If we're judging ourselves, we're often doing that because of something that's triggered outside of us. We also learned yesterday that that is a pattern that develops in childhood. And so we begin our conversation today on integrity through the gate 18, the gift of the gate 18, with looking at childhood. So our childhood was characterized by 3 distinct phases, and they come in 7-year cycles. The first phase is birth to 7. The second phase is from age 7 on up to age 14. And then the third phase is from age 14 up through age 21. And in those 3 phases, we are exploring the boundaries around us. The first phase, as you might expect, would be the boundaries of the physical environment that we find ourselves in, right? As an infant, we find ourselves in this, body that we can't make do what we want it to do. And so we begin to explore our environment through the physical qualities. I have a 5-month-old grandson, Wyatt, who is absolutely adorable. And he is now beginning the process of crawling. He's mastered the idea of rolling and rolling back the other way. And now he's doing that army crawl, expressing his need to explore the territory beyond that which he is, has been kind of locked into. So if we watch our children during those first 7 years, what we see is them exploring the territory, the boundaries of the environment that they find themselves in, very physical. Now, the second phase, age 7 to 14, we are exploring the emotional boundaries, right? That is very much when we begin the process of understanding emotion, anger, frustration, love, joy, excitement, pleasure, all of the emotional energies. And we learn very quickly at age 7 to 14 what happens when we express at the extremes of those ends, of those emotions. And in this case, remember, our parents are hugely supportive of our development during this time. And through all 3 phases, by the way, it is your parents that really drive how it is that you're going to come out of each phase, whether as a healthy individual with healthy boundaries, or are there going to be some experiences that you're going to be repeating throughout your life. And age 14 to 21 is probably the most important aspect of our development as it relates to our minds and to that idea. Remember, in the shadow of the gate 18, we're talking about victim mind, right? And it's from the victim mind where we judge and where we criticize others and we criticize ourselves, or we judge ourselves. So that is the very important time where we are exploring the mental boundaries, where we are taking in the energy of our parents and their reactions to our mental growth. Suzanne, does trauma change any of this? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, right? And I'm going to go into that in just a second. Good morning, Londa. How's it in Mexico? Probably a lot warmer than it is here right now. I almost feel like taking and putting on a jacket, but I'll appreciate the cool later when it gets hot. So yes, trauma affects you. But I wanted to say one last thing about that, and I will transition over to that, is that in the background of all of this is the energy of the spiritual development that you are also going through. And the spiritual development that you are moving through in this lifetime is really laid down during gestation, in those particularly those last 3 months of gestation, where we see the column in your human design chart, it's in red, and where your life purpose begins to be laid down. And so in the background of that is this, the boundaries of spirit, which of course we know are boundaryless, right? There is no boundary to spirit. Anyway, In those levels, there are gene keys or human design gates that kind of rule that, if you will. In astrology, we have planets that rule signs, and we have signs that rule houses. Well, in human design or in the gene keys, there is also a gate or a key that rules each of these levels of development. In birth to 7, the physical development is ruled by the 46th gene key, which is a gate of love on the identity center, the yellow diamond or the white diamond that you have in the center. And it is the love of the physical body. So during that time period, if you are greeted with a healthy environment to grow physically and to explore the territory that you're in, it lays the template for a healthy love of the physical world, a healthy love of the body. In the second level, the emotional level is ruled by the 48th gene key. It is the gate of mastery, the mastery of emotions. Even though it sits on the spleen, it is a fear gate as well. And the fear in that gate is about inadequacy. And it is the gate that we deal with next, because that's where Venus moves next. So we'll be dealing with emotional things as we move into the next gene key. And in the 14 through 21 age group, the mental development is the gene key 18 as its ruler, which is the one we've been focusing on. So important to determining whether or not you grow up with a victim mind or you grow up with a very positive and higher frequency mind. And the 57th gene key is the ruling gate of the spiritual development, which is also on the spleen. The only one that isn't on the spleen is the physical one, and it is the gate of being psychic or being intuitive. It really lays the template for our knowing that extends beyond our physical, emotional, and mental bodies. And people who have this gene key are very intuitive. Sometimes they don't recognize how intuitive they are, but they're very intuitive. All right, so that sets that stage for something else I would like to show you. In the gene keys, you can get a personalized profile. I believe it's called a hologenetic. It doesn't say here on my copy. I want to say it's a hologenetic profile. And I would love it if you would all get this, because it's very helpful in the context of these discussions that we'll have. If you get this, it's free. You just put in your birth information and it gives you back your hologenetic profile. I will post later on the page here the website, because I'll have to look it up. I think it's called Golden Path, but I'm not sure. I'll look it up for you guys. But I want to show you what it looks like. This is a copy of what it looks like. And you see in the middle here, this is the sword of individuality. It is something that we will be doing classwork on or webinars on in the near future. But within this hologenetic profile are 3 key places. And I want to show you where they're called the IQ, SQ, and EQ. And there's another one. I can't remember which one it is. Attraction. It's these 4 right here that are these 4. They are your personal gene key gates that were present during your 3 phases of development, or 4 phases if you count gestation. So the IQ is, hold on here, the IQ is the mental, the one that gene key 18 is ruling. Just for example, let's see, my IQ is at gate 24. So if I wanted to know where my mindset has come from, that is the gene key that I'm going to contemplate. If I want to know where my emotional self has been born from, I would look at the EQ, and it's gate 29. That's interesting. And then the SQ is the physical, the first 7 years of your life, the physical gate that you were bringing in. So if you want to go deeper into your own patterns of gaining integrity, and we're going to go into integrity here in just a minute. If you want to do that, get your hologenetic profile, your gene key profile, and we'll deconstruct this over time as well, because I think it gives us the clearest pathway to our own integrity, right? And to living from our own integrity. Now, I had said, good morning, Michelle Gay. Cindy Mitchell says, yes, that is what I am working on. It's awesome. Very nice. Very nice. Londa, so glad you're talking about Gene Keys, was telling Asmaya about it. It is the golden path. Yes, thank you, Londa. Cindy says, I'm sure trauma does change this. My childhood was not good at all. And so let's dig into that. So problems, traumas, dramas that you encounter at each of those levels will be repeated in the next level. So let's just say when you were somewhere between birth and age 7, your parents split up, and it creates an emotion, or it creates a physical change in your environment. Dad moves out, mom moves out, you go with mom, dad, you don't see dad. It changes the physical environment. Then somewhere in the next level, in the emotional level, it will repeat. Whether it's not going to be the exact same, but there will be another trigger that is related to the physical split that occurred in the age 0 to 7. And likewise, in the next level, the 14 to 21, there will be something that happens, but this time it will be related to the mind, the mental processes. So depending upon how you and others around you deal with the challenges that occur during these times, you will be imprinted possibly with the low frequency energies, and they will be imprinted deeper into your psyche with each change or each reiteration of that event. And it really determines then whether you become an integrated adult or you remain a wounded child throughout your adulthood. Now, just because you maybe have come through, something traumatic or dramatic in any of those levels does not mean you're doomed your whole life to re-experience it. If you do not rise to the occasion, and if you do not start really questioning the things that you're doing, the stories that you're telling yourself, and relating the experiences, if you don't do that inner work, then you will keep experience these in regular frequencies, right? Regular periods. And it is really your parents who hold the key here. And all of you who are out there who are parents right now of younger children, age, birth to 21-ish or so, isn't it interesting that, at one time they considered us fully grown adults at age 21, and then they reduced it back to 18 in some states. Some states it's still age 21. At one point you couldn't marry until you were 21. Interesting, right? Because we're really saying you're not even mentally equipped to deal with the world as a completely integrated adult until at least age 21. Interesting. So your parents hold the key. Your early experiences hold the key. So it is very helpful to go backwards into those years to find the root of the issues that you're experiencing now. Some people very quickly know. I very quickly know where some of my experiences are, because I did have a traumatic, first 7 years of my life. I also had a traumatic middle expression of my life, and there were traumas in my last 7 years of my life. And I can see now where those patterns have repeated and have created the person I am today, especially in the more negative expressions, in the wound, the way the wound shows up. So it's very much worthwhile for you to go back non-judgmentally. Do not go back and beat yourself up, or your parents, right? Because then all you're doing is you're keeping the same energy in place. You're keeping the same energy in place. If you go into it and say, my parents were effed up and they screwed me up, and now I'm left hanging on, holding the bag, you can't do that and expect healing. You just can't. So you have to be able to objectively, standing back and peering in, see what was going on, to be able to release yourself from the physical, emotional, mental traumas that occurred, to be able to see how those experiences are affecting your today. All right. So integrity as it relates to this particular gene key, sorry for the noise, is the ability to hold your own space without reacting to your judgments or self-judgments. Let me repeat that. The ability to hold your own space without reacting to your judgments or self-judgments. Psychology indicates that you're not fully developed, Jessica says. Yeah. And that, this is really the gene key that has given birth to psychology, because it really is very much true in the grander scheme of thing. Suzanne says that's hard. What's hard, sweetheart? That's hard. The ability to hold your own space without reacting to your judgments or self-judgments. Oh, yes, it is. Primarily because of the way that we were raised, right? Those first 21 years of our lives, the seeds were planted for how we would mentally work with the world, and whether we would be in victim mind or whether we would be in healthy mind. In the emotional, are we going to be emotionally healthy, or are we always going to devolve into some sort of emotional tirade? And in the physical, when you have, Cindy says it's very hard to do, especially if that parent is still causing issues. I hear you all. But it doesn't mean you don't do the work, right? It's hard, but it's worthwhile, right? Because this is, a part of integrity here as it relates to the gene keys is a function of your immune system. And it's your immune system to maintain the tensile strength in your body, to maintain your uprightness, to maintain the connections between your bones. This is a Saturn function. This is the biggest task that you are tasked with, if you will, in this lifetime, is to come to integrity, to release yourself from all of the things that have colored your early life, your early world, through the physical, emotional, mental experiences. If the 18th gene key is prominent in your hologenetic profile or in your human design chart, and what did I do with the human design chart? Let's see here. My nose is itchy. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can bring a chart out here. The 18th gene key, or 18th gate, is down here on this. This is the spleen. It is the lower left corner right here, 18. So you either have it white, it can be expressed either way. If you have it halfway filled in, or if you have it all the way filled in, then it is a prominent feature of your profile. If it's open, it's not prominent, but it will rear its head from time to time in your life. It will keep you on your toes, let's say. So if you have this prominent, then you have recurring patterns that are rooted in your childhood for you to work through, for you to work on. You will have to understand aspects of your conditioning as it relates to what happened in your childhood. You will have to master the victim mind, and you will have to do that with integrity. I froze. Dang it. What one did you say you froze? The 18th. Which one do you mean? Which gene key? The 18th, right? Do you want to see the gene key again? It is down here at the bottom in the spleen, bottom left corner, at the point down here at the very bottom. And in this person's chart, it's completely open, but you may have it halfway filled. It might be red or black or striped, or it could be completely filled with one color or another, or striped, depending on how your human design chart is configured. All right. And if it is colored in any way, striped, black, or red, you are the one that is dealing with recurring childhood patterns, either mental. Well, because the 18th rules the mental, then it would be possible that you're dealing with the mental aspects of victim mind. And that's where you want to go to what happened from age 14 to 21 that caused the crystallization of the lower frequency of victim mind for you. Now, all of us have that. I'm not picking on you people that have 18 and saying, you got to do this, because we all deal with it. We are all dealing with it right now because we all suddenly have gate 18 defined, right? We're all going to have gate 18 defined again when Venus retrogrades. And we're all going to have 18 defined again when she moves forward back over it. So it bears our looking at this in a very deep way. Integrity is that we maintain a high standard in everything that we do. whether it is in the physical realm, the emotional realm, or the mental realm, that we work with others who have the same kind of conditioning issues that we might have, that we hold space with them for love, in love and compassion, that we don't, that we catch ourselves in the moment of judgment, like I did yesterday with the whole dog issue, right? Me judging people. For those of you who weren't with us yesterday, my daughter saved a year and a half old Great Dane dog who had bit one of the kids in the family because he was trying to take the bone away from the dog, and they were going to put him down. And my judgment that morning was that these were horrible people, that they were ignorant, and yada, yada, yada. And then somewhat into the broadcast, I had to crack up because I realized I was in judgment, that I'd fallen prey to this very energy in the shadow of judgment and criticism. So we all do this, right? But it is when we catch ourselves, that is when you know that you're working through this frequency, that you're healing it within you, right? That's what it's all about. If you are here with this gene key, that integrity then is about courage, then to judge from the heart, and by elevating others to also become someone who lives from their higher standards, to serve the whole of humanity in the spirit of truth and compassion. That, my friends, is the energy in integrity. Now, let's go back a minute. Any questions? Cindy, mine is black on the 18 and then red on the other side. So you have the whole channel defined. Is that right? So black on the 18 side says that on the column that's in the black numbers, this column here, black column right here, is where you have gate 18. And that's going to tell you what planet sits there. And that's also going to be interesting in terms of how it is that you are working through it. So for example, if gate 18 is your sun, whoa, this is front and center for you, right? If it's Saturn, again, there are huge lessons in that for you. If it's Jupiter, then you're going to experience this as a way of growing and expanding yourself, of earning rewards based on healing that part of yourself. Anybody else? Mine is half black. Suzanne, same thing, right? Tina, I have been on a judgment high lately with siblings. You know, isn't it interesting that the people in our lives create the best fodder for ourselves to see ourselves in our foibles and in our strengths? Cindy says it is the third one down. The third one down is the moon. It is your moon. Good morning, Debbie. So my little Mercury trickster has been at it again. I am definitely going to have to look at my router later today Someone please send me patience. And okay, so what we were talking about, I was reading what Tina was writing. She says she's been on a judgment high lately, siblings and nephews who can't or won't say thank you. It's so hard to accept values not aligned with my own. She has a Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising, 5 planets in Libra. I'll check gate 18. And today the moon is in Scorpio, just for you, Tina. Right? Great day for you to take a look at this. So if you're judging your siblings about not saying thank you, not having gratitude, then it's time for you to look at the boundaries that you have there, right? Are you giving too little or too much? And are you feeling depleted by what you've been giving? And where are you out of alignment with gratitude? Not as a way to beat yourself up, but as a way to take a look. This is about self-inquiry, right? Being able to ask those hard questions is so profound. And I will do this all the time. So it is not like I am asking you to do something I don't do. I ask myself, why am I seeing that? Why is this showing up in my life again? Again. What did I not learn the first time or the second or 50th time? What have I not learned? And I go there. Where am I out? In your case, I might say, where am I out of alignment with gratitude? Where am I not being grateful? Because you're seeing it for a reason. You're seeing it for a reason. And it could be on the other end where you're giving too much. You're doing so much. And maybe, we had a gentleman one day. I think I was on someone else's radio show. And this gentleman came on and he said he had a problem with people and gratitude, and that they don't give gratitude to him when he sends them gifts. And I mean, I was like just biding my time, waiting for him to finish, what he was saying, because I wanted to be able to hear the whole of the story. But the radio show host, she was also just, waiting and waiting to jump on this, because any time that you give of yourself with an expectation of receiving gratitude back, there's a problem. Because then you're conditionally giving. And giving is an aspect of the heart where we give freely from our heart, not giving with an expectation of a thank you. Giving without, it's tricky. This is tricky. And, in your case, I think I just saw that you said you have Venus sitting at the gate 18. And yes, I did lose internet again, Suzanne. Thank you for noticing. But I'm back. And Debbie Tibbetts, a little late. Good morning, loves. Good morning to you. Check your Marco Polo because I sent you a message. Okay. My gate 18 is black all the way to gate 58. What does that mean? Okay. So when it's completely all the way across, that is the channel that is connected to the gate of joy and bliss. Remember, gate 58, Saturn had been sitting there. Our biggest lessons were about creating vitality, joy, and bliss in our lives and releasing ourselves from the shadow of that, which, I should get a cheat sheet, mate. Oh, there is a cheat sheet. Hold on. Cheat sheet in the back. The lowest expression in the gate 58 is dissatisfaction. Right? Dissatisfaction. So when it's connected, then it is a search for the search for the judgment and criticism is about realigning with joy and bliss. So what you're recognizing, what you're here to recognize, and with Venus there, it's going to play out in your relationships, right? It's going to play out in the people around you, is about how you might see where things are out of alignment, where they're out of alignment with joy, where you yourself are out of alignment with joy, and the need to course correct, right? And then I didn't get to perfection part of this morning because of the, printer issue this morning. But remember yesterday we talked about perfection in the moment, right? Everything is perfect in this moment. They can't be anything other than what they are in the moment. You cannot be anything other than what you are in the moment, because the future doesn't exist yet and the past is gone. So in this moment, everything is all and right and perfect. And the fact is, though, that we still hold judgments where we can see that things could be better. But the minute that you start seeing that things could be better, you're now out of the now. And in the now, you could look at yourself and go, I see that I'm working on myself. I see that I am witnessing a lack of gratitude in these people. And what is that about for me? And keep bringing yourself more and more back into alignment with that bliss that is what you're here to express. Hold on, I'm seeing other comments. Mimi, Mercury, the wee jerk. He is being a jerk, and I really, here's my thing. I'm in resistance totally to going through this whole router issue again. Why? Because somehow every time I have to do it, I end up forgetting what the password was, forgetting what the login was, and I have to go through this whole process of finding it just so I can open up my router and get to the firmware update that it needs to go through. I know it's a big security update, blah, 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 blah. But sometimes I really wish I had a computer wizard in my house and it wasn't me. Because, yeah, anyway, so I'm in my own resistance, judging the process. Again, I'm being human. It's okay. I'll have to fix it later. Like I have time to do that with everything else going on. So, Natasha, good morning to you, sweetheart. I love not how the universe reminds us that the process goes to the very end, ... Mercury in retrograde goes for the full weeks, for the full time. And even after he turns back to direct on Saturday, we have the shadow period where he's going back over the same places he's been. Yay. Suzanne, then we have the retro shade to deal with. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. The retro shade is exactly what I was speaking of. Tina, Venus is at 18 in my personality design. What does that mean? The personality, the black column, this is a soul process, right? Your soul's purpose is involved with working through this issue for you, using your relationships with Venus, the people in your life, to heal that part of you that's seeking, that is out of alignment, that in this case is seeking gratitude from people for the gifts that you give. The 18th rules the mental processes, the victim mind. I don't know if you were here for us when we were talking about that earlier today. So look to the time between age 14 and 21 to see where you might have, what trauma or what drama or experience occurred that might have triggered victim mind for you. And because truly, that's where you are in this. You're the victim of your siblings not being grateful for what it is that you're doing for them or giving to them. And so if you can work with that and be open to that with no judgment on yourself or on them, objectively looking at what it was that could have possibly created that for you, wow, could you do a lot of healing work on yourself just with that realization alone, just with that ability to be open to going there and doing this. Your soul came here with that purpose to do that. And it wasn't is it red at the other end, or did you say the whole column was black, Tina? I can't remember. And what planet sits at gate 58? That's another thing for you to look at too. Oh gosh, there's a whole lot more. What does the moon mean? Cindy asked this question. The moon in your human design is what drives you, right? What gets you up out of bed every morning and gets you going. It will drive you. The experiences through the moon are what drive us in human design. Where am I not showing gratitude and where am I not giving freely? There you have the whole column's black. Tina says, okay, so now I need to know if you can find in that black column what planet sits at 58, the opposite side, and then we can have another discussion on that. Suzanne, yep, that's what my mom always said. My gate 58 is the 10th one on the body sign, 10th one from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Saturn, your biggest lessons come in maintaining joy and bliss, even in the face of things that are happening in your outer world, because the shadow of the gate 58 was a dissatisfaction. And that's what I sort of sense. There's this dissatisfaction in the gift given, right? The gift given freely has its satisfaction in just the giving. But dissatisfaction is that there's some expectation of receiving the thank you or of receiving something back from it. It feels to me like it wasn't that you're experiencing it as not a complete um, feeling or emotional satisfaction. And anything that you give from that kind of place is really not a freely given gift. If you're looking for gratitude, then you have strings attached. And raise your hand if you're familiar with the Course in Miracles. A lot of you I know are. We've talked about it a little bit here before. In the Course of Miracles, they talk about love versus real love versus conditional love. And any time that we send out anything into the world and we have a condition upon it, then it's not real love, right? A condition like I'll love you if you behave in a manner that I think is proper, then I will love you. But how many of us get into relationships with the expectation there may be something in the relationship that we don't like, but we think that that person will change. So we have conditions. Again, we have a conditional relationship and not one based in love. So we've got to look through all of the things in our lives where we have conditions, where it is, I will give you this, but I expect that a thank you back. The moment you do that, you've crossed into territory of conditional and not freely loving and giving. We all do it. We all do it. Tina's company is called Work Joy. Perfect. Just perfect. Right, Tina? I mean, your work, Saturn embodies your work. Your work is at gate 58. Gate 58 is the gate of joy and vitality and bliss. Work joy. So what brings you to joy, right? What brings you more and more joy? Then Tina says, so with giving, if I can't give from the heart, give freely, then I should not give in that area or that way or to that person. I can tell the difference when I want to give freely, which is interesting. You know, giving is gives freely, and there's a part of us that gives often with conditions. And when you're giving conditionally, you might be giving from a deficit in yourself as opposed to giving from your fullness. So if it doesn't feel good to give, then don't do it, right? Don't do it. It doesn't make you a bad person. It means that you have boundaries. It means that you explored the emotional, mental, physical boundary of this environment or of this relationship, and you discovered that you can't go there yet. It's not good for you. Right? We're not here to have to give over everything that we have. To do that takes away from you so we have to give from our largesse. We have to, it's that again, that, stewardess telling you put on your oxygen mask first, because if you can't breathe, you have nothing to give. And then if you're giving from a deficit, then of course those feelings of dissatisfaction can sneak in, or other ones, anger, upset, right? Getting you into that victim mind, triggering that victim mind. Debbie, you're funny as hell. Thanks for my morning. Tina, all black. Jupiter at 58 too. So you've got a double. Do you guys remember Jason? He would say, oh, you have a double donger here, because Jupiter at 58 is about reward. You gain the reward when you live in joy, when you keep aligned with joy and what makes you feel good and what gives you bliss, right? That's your reward. So Jupiter and Saturn both at that gate, huge. So do we just not have relationships that are conditional? Got it. Wow, that's a really good question, Tina. Do we just not have relationships that are conditional? I don't think we can avoid the relationships we have, right? Our parents, our siblings, the people in our lives are in our lives for a reason. And they're in our lives to show us where we're not perhaps right with ourselves. Or on the other hand, they show us all the beautiful, wonderful things about ourselves as well. So no, you want to have people in your life, all people in your life, but you learn that whatever it is that person is showing you isn't something that you judge or um, criticize them for. And it's not something that you judge or criticize yourself for, but it's something that you work on in yourself. Just asking the question, why am I seeing that out there? Well, there must still be a part of me that the frequency is holding to that level. And so I'm going to love that part of myself more and more. I'm going to love myself more and more. I miss him too. Suzanne, I miss him too. Anyway, so it's not about finding those things and beating yourself up. No, it's about finding those things, loving those things about yourself, and elevating the frequency in the way that you express it. Huge, right? Remember that integrity in this gene key that we have been talking about. Let me just bring it back to this gene key, is about maintaining a high standard in all you do for you and for others, right? Having courage to judge from the heart. Having courage to judge from the heart. The heart sees things completely differently than the mind that may be engaged in the victim mind, right? Helping to elevate others, and then serving the whole of humanity, the whole of the universe, in the spirit of truth and compassion and love and joy, all of that. Right. And remember that integrity, as it's defined in this gene key, is also the ability to hold your own space without reacting to your judgments or self-judgments. So when you see yourself reacting to siblings that don't have gratitude to the things you're giving, don't react to it. Just notice it. It's there. I see that I'm feeling not appreciated. So where in my life am I not appreciating myself? Right? It's tricky. It's tricky, but it's, to me, I know lots of you are going to laugh at this, but to me, it's kind of fun to do this. It's not so much fun while I'm mad at something or in the pity potty, but later as I look at it and go, what is that meaning for me? What is that all about for me? Then it becomes so much fun, much more fun than when we're in the thick of it. So just being kind to yourself, being gentle. Thank you. Tina says, I'm feeling uneasy, meaning things are churning. Absolutely. Things are churning. You're feeling uneasy because the moon is in Scorpio. It is triggering the planets that you have in Scorpio, your rising sign, your own moon, your sun, wherever that is in your chart. And what was it also today? The moon is in a sextile to Saturn and to Mercury and opposing Uranus. Wine helps. Wine helps everything. Suzanne, I love you all so much. Love this connection in the mornings. Thank you, Janet. You are so welcome. Thank you all for coming, for sitting here in the morning and listening. We are over time. I don't care. It was good. So tomorrow we will take up the highest expression of perfection in gate 18 and what that means for us as we also transition over into the next human design week, which takes us, oh my God. Okay, well, we have some work to do this next week because next week is all about commitment and the saying yes to the correct things and our desires. On top of the fun we're having with perfection in gate 18, which will switch to gate 20 or 48 as well. So tomorrow might be a longer morning as well. So expect that. I am going to go before my transmission, my router breaks on me. Thank you all for joining me this morning. Natasha, last comment here. Churning means change is about to happen or is happening. Absolutely. Absolutely. We like churning. Maybe you're ready to finally give up this whole issue in your life, right? Maybe, Tina, you're ready to just embrace everything about yourself, enjoy everything about your life, enjoy everything about your work, enjoy. I think that's awesome. All right, you all, I love you so much. Mwah, bye. Oh. So it seems that I'm having this issue trying to get my webinar put together. Unexpectedly, my grandson is having surgery next week on the 22nd, which would be the day before the webinar. I've moved the webinar to the 30th. because I got to be there for the surgery. So I probably won't be with you on that Thursday or Wednesday morning. We'll see what time it is. But I know my mind is not going to be on preparing for that webinar. So the following week, the 30th, is when we will do the webinar on the energy centers. Sorry. Timing is everything, right? Maybe I needed to wait until Mars was off retrograde in order to get this off the ground. Makes sense to me. All right, guys, take care. Have a wonderful day. See you all tomorrow morning. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me. Go out in the spirit of truth and compassion and love everyone around you. Take care and love all of your experiences too. All right. Bye for now.